everyone, this is Lucy from KBeautyHobbit.com. Welcome to my channel or welcome back. I really appreciate you. Today's video has been over a year in the making. I have been collecting all of my sunscreen empties very diligently so that I can do a massive sunscreen review video. I've done one of these in the past and I'll put a link in the description box, but today I have about 20, actually 19 sunscreens to share with you. Now, don't think that that's a normal amount of sunscreens for a regular person to go through. Keep in mind that I'm a blogger, I'm a reviewer, I get a lot of different things to try, and I'm also a very dedicated sunscreen user, and I've been saving these for a very long time. So these are going to be in no particular order. I'll talk about each one briefly because there are so many of them. I will put links to detailed reviews as well as links where you can purchase these in the description box, and if you have any questions about any of them, please leave me a comment. I try to get back to everybody. We're going to start with the ones that are empty and then move on to the ones that are not empty and then go over a few that I'm just starting, like first impressions type of thing. Okay, first I have these Make Prem Sun Sticks. They're Airy Light Physical Sun Stick with zinc. I have two of them. They're both empty. It's one of my favorite sticks to use on kids. Disclaimer, not a dermatologist, not a pediatrician. Please talk to yours before you put anything on your little ones. My kids are almost 4 and almost 9, and my 9-year-old is super resistant to sunscreen, but she's outside a lot. She is okay, however, with sticks. This is an all mineral sun stick. It does leave somewhat of a white cast. My husband, who has a deeper skin tone than I do, which is not a huge accomplishment, almost everybody is deeper than me, but he definitely has a visible white cast from this. Not too much. I don't. My kids do a little bit, but I actually don't mind a white cast on children because it helps me tell where I have applied the sunscreen versus where I may have skipped some spots. Is it cool for beach day? Probably not. Actually, most of the things I'm going to talk to you about today are not water resistant, and it's more of a daily sunscreen for when you're just out and about. I did put this on my daughter for water park days with a different body sunscreen, and that seemed to be okay, but most of these are not going to be for your beach days, for water park days. These are more like daily throughout the year, including summer, but when water sports and water activities are not involved. Then I have a few Dr.Ceuracle sunscreens. My friends at Ocean Skin sent me pretty much every Dr.Ceuracle sunscreen to try, which was really cool of them. The first one is PA Control No-Sebum Sun Lotion SPF 50. This is a physical filter sunscreen. It was nice and liquid, kind of similar to the Etude House Sunrise Daily. You have to shake it. There's a little agitator inside. On me, didn't really have much of a white cast. I like this formula. All of the Dr.Ceuracle sunscreens are quite scented. Some pleasantly and some not so much. I didn't mind the scent of this one, but it's just something to keep in mind. If you don't want fragrance in your sunscreens, Dr.Ceuracle is probably not for you. On me, wasn't white casted. On my husband, definitely was. It's not too horrible, but it's definitely not clear. The next Dr.Ceuracle one is the CICA Regen Vegan Sun. I like this quite a bit, except for the smell. The finish was nice, sort of matte, not drying, no white cast on me. Strongly scented and not in a super pleasant way. Can still smell it. It smells very herbally, like rosemary maybe. In the review I talk more about the scent and try to pick out what in the ingredients list may have given it that scent, but I don't remember, to be honest, off the top of my head. But it smells very herbally, like tea tree or rosemary or something like that, and not in the best way. It didn't really linger much on the skin, the scent didn't, so that's okay. I used it up, no big deal, but probably wouldn't go out of my way to repurchase this. The third one is Hyal Reyouth Moist Sun SPF 50+, PA 4+. Moisturizing UV Protection for face and body. I fully expected not to like this one because it's talking about moisturizing, and I have combination skin with an oily T-zone. I don't need a lot of moisture on my skin, especially in the warmer months. I was using it throughout the summer. I was actually pleasantly surprised by this. It's completely clear, no white cast. It has one of my favorite little applicator styles, this little nozzle here. Makes it really easy to dispense the 3 fingers if that's the method you use for measuring. I don't really measure sunscreen. I measure with my heart. I try to put enough, and usually more than one layer even, cover my neck, chest, ears, and around the eyes. Doesn't irritate the eyes. Really good, and it's not heavy. It said moisturizing, but it wasn't heavy. It's not necessarily something I would go for if I needed to wear a full face of makeup, let's say, and wanted to stay completely shine free the whole day. I would probably pick something more matte, but for just my daily life, this was really nice, and I would top it off with a bit of translucent powder because I like a more matte face and not so much glowy. But if you like glowy or dewy, this is good. Does not look sweaty or anything. This one is probably one of my favorite from the Dr.Ceuracle sunscreen lines. Again, heavily scented, but actually pleasant. Japanese sunscreen, Shiseido Anessa, Shining in the Sun, Perfect UV Sunscreen Skincare Milk. This was featured in my prior sunscreen video, but at the time I think it was new to me or almost full. Now it's empty, and it's been empty for a while. It's one of my favorites. It's definitely not for everybody because it can be pretty drying. It's a really nice liquid formula. My skin just drinks it right up. It has quite a good amount of alcohol in the content. That's not a problem for me, but if you have very dry skin or if you are reactive to drying alcohols, this probably isn't for you. I loved it, and I think people with oily skin would also really like it. This is more of a summer, spring product for me. In the winter, even I prefer things that are a little bit more moisturizing, but my very easy fix to that would be just to use an actual moisturizer before this. Most of the time in the mornings, I don't use anything other than a toner pad, vitamin C serum, and SPF. But if I needed a little bit more protection, a little bit more moisture, protection from the elements like wind, not from the sun, I would use a moisturizer before this and then use this as my sunscreen. It's perfect in every way for me, but if you have really dry skin or very sensitive skin, this is probably not for you. It's also not really affordable price-wise. A couple of my favorites here from Skin 1004. The first one is Madagascar Centella Air Fit Sun Cream Plus. This is the SPF 50 version. It is not necessarily tinted, but it does have a color to it. On deeper skin tones, it probably might, probably will leave a white cast. However, my husband, who's slightly deeper than me, really enjoys this, and I think what he really likes about it is the finish. It's a nice matte finish that's not drying. It's one of the very few formulas where I can actually skip powder on top of it. I can just wear it as is and really love the way that my face feels. It is a little bit difficult to get the last bits out of the bottle because the bottle is nice and sturdy plastic, and you have to squeeze quite a bit, and then it has this little nozzle applicator. This is one of my favorite sunscreens, and when I saw Skin 104 in person in July last year, I asked them for a top off of this because it's so good. But of course now my husband uses that top off one because that's his favorite, and honestly, when it comes to partners who are not super into skincare, whatever they are going to use, just give them that. So he tends to get the best of the best because I'll give you whatever, just please put sunscreen on. But so good. Probably not for really deep skin tones though. This one, however, should work for everybody. I have 3 brand new tubes in my backup. They're all good until 2025. Don't come at me about like having too many things. And then I have an open tube in my bathroom right now. This one is empty. It's the Skin 104 Hyalu-CICA Water Fit Sun Cream. This one is completely clear, should work for all skin types. I've talked about this before on my blog and in my channel. Has a pretty natural finish, not too dewy, not too matte. I can go without powder on top of it. Most of the time I use powder. Really good. If you haven't tried it, try it. It's probably one of the best sunscreen launches of the last couple of years, and I like this one more than the Beauty of Joseon personally. This is a new to me brand. It's actually kind of hard to get outside of Korea. My friends from Ocean Skin sent it to me. They don't carry this brand, but you can get it on Olive Young now. Sometimes my friends from Ocean Skin send me some things that you can only get in Korea just to try, and it's the best. They're so sweet. If you haven't been on their website, please go and support them. It's a small business, like 2-person small business, and it's so nice, and they try their best and they package everything themselves. And this is not an ad for Ocean Skin, but they're just such sweet people. I really want to support them. This brand, I think, is pronounced SCENEARTH Everyday Essence Sun. I could not for a while figure out if I liked this or not, because the first couple times I used it, I really loved it. Then I put it on and it was greasy and sticky and weird, but it ended up being a vitamin C that was doing that, not this. Without that vitamin C, this behaves just fine. It does have somewhat of an alcohol scent. It doesn't linger. It dries down to a fairly matte finish, not overly matte, but pretty natural, kind of what I prefer. I don't know if this would be okay for really sensitive skin, kind of patch test if you do end up getting it, but I really liked it. And when I got toward the middle of the tube, I really fell in love with it and then was reaching for it pretty much every day until it was out. So definitely worth a look, especially if you have oily skin that's not sensitive. Let's move on to the things that I have open and in circulation. Although, to be honest, after this video, I am going to take some of these and give them away to friends because I have a lot of unopened sunscreens that I would like to test. And sunscreens don't get any younger as they sit around. You really should try to use them up within 6 to 12 months of opening. So I'm going to spread the love a little bit and share with some of my friends. I don't know what I'm going to do with this one though. This is the fourth Dr.Ceuracle product. It's Pro Balance Biotics Clear Up Sun Tone Correcting. So when you see tone up or tone correcting in the name of Korean sunscreens, buyer beware. Some of them are super great and work almost like a CC cream and really even out the skin tone, like that Airfit SPF 50 sunscreen from Skin 104 does that, or the Revectin Tone Up sunscreen does that. But more often than not, what it does is completely white out the skin, which for me isn't really necessarily a huge deal. I can still use a sunscreen like that if it's not sticky and not greasy. This one is greasy. It makes me look sickly and washed out and shiny in a really unhealthy, weird way. It stinks absolutely terrible. Oh my god. It smells like tea tree, rosemary, and mint all had a love child and it didn't quite work out. Oh my god. Like, all of those scents by themselves are actually not bad, but in this sunscreen, it is so strong. And putting it on, I've only used this 2 or 3 times and I cannot bring myself to use it again. It's not quite short sleeve weather here yet. It is still cold. We had a snowstorm recently. So it's not like I can use it up on my body while I'm going on walks or anything. I prefer UPF clothing anyway, but sometimes I'll use this, like if I'm wearing shorts, whatever, I'll use undesired sunscreens on those exposed areas. But this one, I don't know. I'm gonna see if my friend who enjoys fragrance things is willing to try this for her body, because she doesn't have as huge of a stock of crap to go through as I do. Sometimes she can use up things, and I always give a full disclaimer, like, hey, this is what I don't like about this. Do you want to try it? If you really hate it, you can throw it out. Most of the time she's able to use them up, so we'll see. But yeah, I don't know what to do with this. It's terrible. Stay away from this one. There's not a single redeeming quality about this that I can name. Like, there's nothing good about this. Not the finish, not the look, not the smell, not the texture, nothing. It's just bad. Remember the blue Skin 104 Sun Serum that I really love, that leaves no white cast? They came out with 2 more that I have not seen very much on social media, and I don't know why. I don't know if they just didn't do such a huge campaign with these or what, but I rarely see anyone talk about them at all. I've seen a couple here and there stories from Skin 104, but again, I didn't see any like big reveals of, hey, we have new sunscreens. I haven't seen influencers talk about these. I got a gift set from Stylevana that had all 3, these 2 and that third with a blue lid. So let's talk about this one first. These are newer to me, so these are just going to be first impressions. This is the Airfit Sun Cream Light. So we had that bottle of Airfit Sun Cream, and this one is the light. The bottle is SPF 50. This one is SPF 30. It is a physical sunscreen, but it has a lighter texture and less of a white cast. Actually, on me, it has no white cast at all compared to that Airfit in the bottle. So if you need a physical sunscreen without chemical filters, but you're afraid of a white cast, perhaps this one might work better. I would personally prefer SPF 50, of course, and I like that original Airfit, the SPF 50 one, but for most people, if you're not outside a ton and you're not on the beach, and you maybe have to use physical sunscreens, I would say this is obviously better than no sunscreen at all, and this might just be the perfect one for you. I'm enjoying it so far. I'm just not really ready to do a review yet because I've only recently started to use it. But when I have a review, I will put it out on the blog. Now this one is Tone Brightening Tone Up Sunscreen. And as I said, buyer beware with tone up sunscreens. It looks almost tinted. I don't know how well you can see because I have a really bright light here, but it's slightly pink. And on me, that really doesn't translate into any sort of a white cast. However, Initial impressions so far, with the very limited times that I've tried it, is it is quite dewy and not necessarily in the way that I enjoy. I am more of a matte girl. Can that be fixed though with some powder? Yes. It's also slightly tacky, but that tends to go away with the powder on top. My initial impressions of this is that it's not going to be my holy grail, but I also don't hate it. I'm going to keep using it and do a full review once I feel ready for that. I wouldn't pick this as like my first Skin 104 sunscreen to try, but I will report back as I use this more. Even right now, my hand feels sticky. But yeah, and my fingers feel sticky, much stickier than with regular other sunscreens that I've tried. So I don't know. I'm cautious about this one. I'm optimistic about that SPF 30 physical one, and I absolutely love the serum. Two more sun sticks. Let's talk about this one first because I've had it longer. This is the Isntree Hyaluronic Acid Airy Sun Stick. It has chemical filters. There we go. It is teardrop shape, which is really cool actually, especially when you're reapplying around here and maybe you need to really get into the creases. I still always prefer a base layer of actual sunscreen, and I do make my children also wear a base layer of actual sunscreens if we're going somewhere where we'll be outside a lot. But on school days, when my child is just going to and from school, this is better than nothing. A sunstick is better than nothing. I am teaching her that you have to really be thorough where you apply it, and one layer is usually not enough. You really want to get in there and do a couple of layers. This is really nice. It is not sticky, it is not greasy, and there's no white cast. I don't really pick up a scent anymore. This isn't expired, but I have had it open for a couple of months, and sometimes when you have things open for a little while, they might start out really scented and then the scent disappears, but I don't remember this ever really being strongly scented, so it's not bad. And for myself, I'll add that I have used sunsticks as means of reapplication of sunscreen, even when hiking outdoors in the summer. I don't know if I recommend that activity, but you know, sometimes you make poor choices, but I have not burned. I like this one, I like the Cynic one, I like the Make Prem one. Probably this one and the Cynic more so than the Make Prem because of the white cast, but in general, sunsticks have really been working really well for me, even with my propensity to burn very quickly. And this Tokobo one, this one I've seen all over social media. It's everywhere. I think they have pretty successful PR campaign. I have received two of these. I had one from Stylevana SPR, and then I won a James Welsh giveaway, which also included this. I'm liking it. It's interesting. It's very scented, but not bad. It's kind of powdery, fruity a little bit. It's not blue on the skin once you apply it. It's pretty clear, and it's nice, soft, kind of velvety finish. I wonder what happens if you reapply this a lot. I can see this potentially sort of feeling like a buildup maybe, just because of its texture. It feels like it smooths out my skin, which is a good thing, but I don't know what would happen if you had to reapply it, let's say 5 times throughout the day. I feel like maybe it would start to get a little bit heavy. But for 1 to 2 applications, not bad at all. The scent, yep, it's there, but it's not bad. It doesn't linger either, and doesn't tend to give me irritation or anything like that, so I'm enjoying it. It is newer to me. I don't yet have a review for this, but first impressions are really positive, and I think I'm gonna take one of these when we go on our little beach vacation here in a month or so, because I do like to have a sunstick for quick and dirty reapplications, kind of as needed. Are you still with me? We're making good progress. I only have 7 things left. Okay, sunscreens are a serious thing, okay? But because of content like mine, hopefully, and other people's, you can at least narrow down in the sea of available sunscreens what might work for you. And hopefully on a grand scale of consumerism, maybe this will actually help reduce waste, because maybe you as an individual consumer who's not a reviewer, who's not a content creator, maybe you don't have to buy 5 sunscreens while you hunt for the next good one. Maybe you can rule out 3 of them just based on review videos like mine, and then have a more targeted shopping list that is more likely to be what you actually want, right? That's what I tell myself. When I look at piles of my skincare and I think, oh my goodness, that's a lot, I try to tell myself that this hopefully actually helps somebody, nor do I actually end up throwing away much, if at all. I do have one video on my channel about things that I've thrown away, and it was like under 10 things in a year. So not a lot. I really try to use up what I have or share it with people who can use it. Okay, I have two Make Prem products. Let's start with this one. This is the Soothing Physical Sun Cream formulated with zinc. In general, I used to really love Make Prem products, their sunscreens, and then they reformulated when the whole like 2019 SPF rating fiasco happened and everybody started retesting their sunscreens. I do feel like it had something to do with that, even though the brand never straight up came out and said it. So some of my favorite formulas are no longer made. They used to have a physical sunscreen that I adored, but then it became combination sunscreen that I don't love as much. This one though is still all physical. I just opened this somewhat recently and it's good. It's not bad. It does have some white cast. It has more of a matte finish, which I enjoy. I would use this, no problem, but I think for somebody with like a deeper skin tone, probably not the best option. However, if you need a physical sunscreen or if you prefer physical formulas for your children, again, it might actually be a benefit that there is a little bit of a white cast because you can see where you have applied it. I plan on using this up. I don't know that I would give this one away just because it's one of the very few 100% physical sunscreens that I have. And sometimes for people who have sensitive eye area, sometimes physical is what they need, at least around the eyes. And if you're one of those and you do okay with chemical filters on the face, but your eyes are super sensitive, consider getting just a physical sunscreen for the eye area specifically. Not formulated for the eye area, but just get something for just a regular physical sunscreen and use it just around your eyes, because their white cast is probably not a huge deal, especially if you wear eye makeup over it. But maybe you use then a chemical sunscreen on the rest of your face and neck, and that might be a good compromise for you to really protect the entire area versus having to pick and choose or abandoning sunscreen altogether. That would really be the worst decision. And then we have this guy. It's a really interesting packaging, and I got it as PR, but I asked for it. I get some things sometimes from Kbeauty. Think it's a seller on Amazon. They carry Make Prem and Wamisa and some of the other smaller Korean brands, but they're all authentic, nothing to worry about with fake, whatever. And they're really nice people, people who own Kbeauty things. So I've worked with them in different capacities, but I asked them if I could try this because the packaging really intrigued me. This is Make Prem Hydrating Sun Essence with Soothing Effect. This is what the packaging looks like. It is this fluffy, slightly fluffy, like silicone-y, stampy thing. I don't know, applicator, cushion. I don't know, what did you call it? The idea is that you squeeze the bottle, some product comes out here, and then you use this instead of your hand to apply it. Practically speaking, that does not work for me at all. I am not typically in a situation where my hands are dirty and I can't use my hands to apply. The formula itself is really nice. It's a liquidy, gel-like, completely white cast free formula. It is a little bit dewy, but not awfully dewy. I do use powder on top, but the applicator thing I actually don't use because it's quite big and it's hard to get the areas around the nose, around the eyes, the more precise ones. I'm not sure who the target audience is. It's nice and innovative. It definitely did its job of catching my attention and making me go get it. So in that sense, it's been successful. But as far as actually being a practical functional applicator, for me personally, not so much. I still prefer my hands. But the formula inside is very, very nice. And the size is good. It's 2 ounces. So it's TSA carry-on friendly, but still bigger than a little sample tube of sunscreen. So that might be a good travel thing if you just want to take some travel face sunscreen and maybe get something bigger for the body. But I really like it. I will keep using it, but I almost prefer that it came in just like a regular tube with a regular nozzle. I think that would actually be better, but then would I actually go out of my way to get it with just a nozzle applicator? Probably not. So they are onto something here from the marketing perspective, but not so much from the functional perspective. We're on our final stretch. FRUDIA Green Grape Sebum Control Cooling Sun Gel. Is it cooling? Not so much. Is it a gel? Also not so much. It's more of a cream. Looks like this. I just started using it recently. I don't love it. I don't know, it doesn't have a white cast, but it makes me look and feel like that Dr.Ceuracle one that I don't like, where I almost feel a little bit sickly when I'm wearing it, and it smells very strongly of artificial grape. It actually reminds me of dish soap from my childhood in Russia. when the liquid formulas came out and they were so heavily scented, and people really loved it because we didn't have anything like it before. But it's, yeah, I don't want that on my face. Hardcore smells like dish soap. Then I have Mary and May Cica Soothing Sun Cream for sensitive skin. Nothing bad about it. I don't love the fragrance. It's very much like all the other ones where it's kind of a natural finish. I don't really see a white cast. My husband likes it. He's been using this when he ran out of the Airfit, when I was between Airfit bottles. He's been using this and he doesn't mind. I don't see a white cast on him. The fragrance is kind of, I don't know. Actually, right now I can't even smell it because all I smell is the FRUDIA grape on my hand. The dish soap smell. Ugh, I really don't like it. But this, it smells fruity-ish, florally-ish. It doesn't smell herbal. I don't know about sensitive skin and having a product with fragrance in it, but maybe. I don't have sensitive skin, and all skin that is sensitive in different ways. So it's actually very difficult to recommend things for sensitive skin because you might be sensitive to one thing and not the next. But not a bad product. It's just not my preferred finish, not my preferred fragrance either, but it's not bad. It's not super memorable, so I wouldn't jump at an opportunity to get it again. But it's not bad. We're gonna use it up since the husband likes it. Anything he will use aside from his like 20-in-1 grout cleaner, shampoo, whatever product in the shower, anything he would use on top of that is already a win. So if he's using it, great, he can keep using it. This brand gets cool points for packaging, sort of. It's Hamel, H-A-M-E-L, Vegan Relief of Water Essence Sun Cream. I love this little egg shape, but just like with Haru with a rice shaped thing, it's not super practical. You can't stand it on the counter. It kind of rolls, whatever. And it has a nozzle applicator, which is what I like. This is the cream version, and then they had the essence of the serum version that's more liquidy. Even the cream is pretty liquidy though. I'm not sure how easy it will be to get out once I'm more toward the end of this. I will likely not finish this. It's not my favorite. It's okay. Both of them are slightly dewy, both the essence and the cream. This one can have a little bit of a white cast on some people. It doesn't so much on me, but it's just not, it's not that impressive. Again, I can't smell it. I can't remember if it smells like anything. I'll put a review link in the description. All I smell is still the grape. This was apparently a really bad decision to test that on my hand because, my goodness, it's like a punch in the brain. Ugh. Okay. Anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm definitely giving this one away. I have a couple friends that are new to sunscreens and I'm trying to convert them. And this is good. This is a good sunscreen to give somebody because it has a lot of pleasant characteristics. It goes on nicely. It's not sticky. It's not greasy. I very rarely give away products that I actually hate unless, you know, the friend is really close to me and I can give them a full disclaimer and they will use up in some way on the body or whatever. But if I'm giving somebody a sunscreen who has not been using sunscreen regularly, I'm not going to give them the Dr.Ceuracle or this FRUDIA dish soap. I'm going to give them something that has a really good chance of converting them into being a regular sunscreen user. And this, I think, is one of those. It's just not my personal holy grail, but that's okay. Not everything is, and not everything needs to be. I'm really liking this one. I've been meaning to do a review on this, but for a while I couldn't find it anywhere for sale. Now I found a couple websites that has it. This is D'Alba UV Essence Waterfall Plus, Defense Against UV Rays, Fresh and Luxurious Texture, Whitening, Anti-Wrinkle. It has absolutely no white cast, has a little bit of a scent, which again I'm probably not going to be able to smell now. Well, if I keep my hand all the way down, I kind of can. But it has a really pleasant, what I would consider expensive cosmetic scent. It is more dewy than I enjoy, but it's not overly shiny, and one little layer of translucent powder fixes that right up for me. Really like it. I'm almost out of it. I'm going to finish it up definitely, and I wouldn't mind getting it again. It's not bad at all, and somebody who likes more of a dewy finish and needs no white cast, this is probably a really good fit for you. The only thing is, if I remember right, it is not super well priced, so that's its one drawback, is the cost. I can't believe it, but we made it to the very end. We made it to the end. This is the last one. It's going to be first impressions. This is from that same brand that is mostly available in Korea that I got from Ocean Skin. I got this one from Ocean Skin as well, and it's SCENEARTH Oh Family Day Mild Sun. It's really good. It's more of a matte finish. Could potentially white cast on some people. I just started using it. My first impressions are really positive. In the finish and feel, it is similar to the one with the blue lid that I showed from the same brand. However, I do not pick up that strong alcohol scent. And I think this is probably more gentle on the skin than that other formula. My skin did fine with the other one as well, but I don't think it would work for really dry or really sensitive skin. This one might. You'd have to review the ingredients. The only website I found that has global shipping that carries this brand is Olive Young, and I'll put links to that in the description box. I don't know if I can fit all the links for this video in the description box, to be honest, because there is a character limit in the description box, but I'll try. I'll definitely link the reviews if I have them. I don't have a review for this one yet, but on Olive Young, they do have a list of ingredients, so you can review that and see if there's anything in there that you're potentially sensitive to. But my first impressions are really good, and I like the size of the tube. It's 2.7 fluid ounces, but somehow it feels like it's more. I don't know, maybe because it's a larger tube. It feels like it's a bigger tube than what I normally get with sunscreens. Yeah, I just compared with this Pro Balance one, and this one is only 1.69 fluid ounces, which seems to be more of a standard size, so this one is more than that, and that's great. The bigger, the better. That is all I have for you as far as sunscreens. Let me know if this was useful or if it was just too much information too fast. It's hard to do compilation videos because there is so much and you can only spend a little bit of time. And if you're spending 1 minute per product and you have 19 of them, that's a 20-minute video. It's hard for me to do just 1 minute per product. But if you want me to keep releasing videos like this, let me know, because I can keep saving my sunscreen empties. And I have a ton, probably at least 15 or maybe more, of unopened good until 2025 sunscreens in my to test pile that I am going to start testing soon. I'm going to kind of pare down my current pile. I'm going to share some with friends and family and make room for testing others and kind of see how that works. Sunscreens are super easy for me to test because it only takes a handful of applications for me to tell if I like the texture, the color, the scent, and how it wears. I don't expect any sort of wrinkle tightening, lifting, pigmentation, whatever. Yes, sunscreens are very beneficial, but I like testing, let's say, a serum or something. I could test multiple sunscreens at the same time on a rotating basis and see if I like them. So I can test a lot more sunscreens than I can other things. Same with face washes. I can try a lot of face washes for a fairly short amount of time to see if I like them, but that's not the case with moisturizers and essences and eye creams and that kind of stuff. So if you like sunscreen reviews, definitely subscribe and follow me and whatever. But let me know what you think about videos like this and if you want more of them. Thank you so much for joining me today. Hope it was helpful. You can find me on Instagram at KBeautyHobbit, my blog KBeautyHobbit.com, and in my private Facebook group, Korean Beauty Fanatics. We recently got to 78,000 and just growing and growing. So if you're not there, I would love to have you. Just come join. Thank you so much. I hope to see you in my next video. Until then, please remember to always listen to your skin. Thank you so much. Bye.